Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Real Estate Investors Club podcast. I'm here with Axel. Hi, Axel.
Hi, Terry. How are you?
And we just want to have some fun today. We thought we'd do an episode on the Tenant Darwin Awards because this is a topic that I love. And there was another incident this week that it just needs to come out. So, Axel, are you ready to tell some stories?
I had a preview and it needs to be shared because when you talk about these things, you feel like it's out of a movie and no one's going to believe you. But this is what she deals with pretty much on a weekly, if not daily basis. So, Terry, what happened this week?
Well, let me tell you. So I have an owner that I work with. He shall remain nameless, who made a trip to one of his buildings. I guess it was about a week and a half ago. And he had a little argument with his wife. So he went out late in the night to go and just check on his building. Because, that's what you do when you have a disagreement, right?
I love how he actually shared with you that he left to go to his property because he had a disagreement with his wife. Like, just that is good.
There you go. Anyway, so he's looking at his building at 11 o'clock at night. And what does he see but a tenant up on a ladder messing around with the electrical wiring? So he thought this was suspicious and decided to just not do anything. So he let the tenant continue doing what he was doing. And turns out the tenant was in the process of jumping the hydrometer. So trafficking the electrical wiring to have it go around the meter. So that basically what happens is hydro doesn't count the electricity that they're consuming. So it's kind of a way of stealing electricity.
Completely.
Yeah.
Wait, so and this guy, he obviously didn't cut the electricity to do this, so he's playing with live wires.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful.
So then my friend goes back the next day and they had the tenant had to remove some bricks of the back wall to do this. So the next day he'd filled up the bricks, redone the mortar, and you could just see that the wire was bypassing where it was not supposed to go.
I can't believe. So the owner, luckily, he saw all this happen because otherwise he would have never known.
Exactly.
So how did he confront he didn't confront the guy at 11 o'clock.
No. So here's what happened. So then Terry gets a phone call, right?
Yeah.
Terry guess what happened? So I'm like, well, I have a bunch of things I could say about this, but I don't exactly know what to do this. So then I kind of, dug into my network, did some research and figured out that basically he has two possibilities for a course of action. So one course of action is to go and confront the tenant and basically try to get him to give up his lease. So sign a résiliation bail with the threat that he's going to call hydro and he's going to call the cops. But before he does this, he has to have an electrician come out to the place and basically do an emergency fix, but also just confirm that there's actually something wrong. Exactly. So he has to document it, and then he needs to have an electrician basically put things back the way they were in a way that's conform. So this is, case number one. If the tenant decides to leave, if the tenant doesn't leave, then he needs to start involving all of the authorities. And then finally, with the ultimate step is to open a file at the TAL, so the old Régie du Logement, to end the lease because the tenant has been sabotaging.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also actually learned something interesting, which is that for this, you have to submit a sort of a demande générale, because there's not a specific form that you fill out for tenant sabotage, unfortunately. But there's actually someone reading those when you open them and deciding on the level of urgency. So if in your request and when you open the file, you write sort of at the beginning why it's so urgent and why you need to go immediately, fire risk to the tenants, all risk to the insurance, whatever else, that will actually accelerate the process.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
So this is just a general crazy form from TAL that you can just...
It's just demande, which you can fill out online, and then you specify sort of on there what is it. But we're going to hope. So basically this showdown's going to go down probably sometime in the near future. I don't exactly know how it works out. Maybe that can be the follow-up episode.
So wait, you said that he had two course of action. So that's the way to go, of une demande à la régie, au TAL, to do it legally and everything. What was the other one? That was just to confront the guy?
The other was to confront the tenant,
Okay.
because basically like it's criminal, right?
Yeah.
And so he's criminally responsible for stealing the electricity, but also for sabotaging an installation that's not his. Oh,
Yeah.
and the other thing I forgot to mention is so he's also in that negotiation supposed to ask for the tenant to cover the electricity bill, the
The
electrician bill.
fix,
The fix.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then would, obviously like hydro would need to be advised. Was it possible to determine like why he was doing that other than just not wanting to pay
Yeah.
electricity?
Well, this is the other thing. So at what I know of the situation right now, like it's not clear why he's doing it,
Okay.
but basically one of the things that's included in either one of those courses of action is to go in and inspect the unit, because
Fully.
usually when people are stealing electricity like that, it's for a reason, and that tenant's like been there for 4 years. So it's not like you just wake up one morning and decide to steal electricity. It's because they have a project either to like mine Bitcoin or grow weed, right? Like what else are you gonna do when you're stealing electricity?
I was trying to think of other possibilities, and that's pretty much the only thing I could think of. Yeah, either growing illegally or mining crypto, or I don't know, like maybe he's got a big aquarium. Who knows? Like
Yeah,
I doubt
don't
it,
know.
but
Anyway. So Axel, I hear that you also have a Tenant Darwin Award story for us.
I do, but it's not particularly recent in the last couple of weeks. This was end of last summer, with a troubled tenant that I selected. It was a refi, it was the last lease we needed, and I was a little bit more flexible. And I also made a big mistake is I tend to like give people a chance, and I shouldn't have given them a chance. I know you learned that, but that was my learning experience. Like,
Okay.
even if you think you want to give people a chance, don't. It'll come back and bite you. Anyways, I selected a young tenant who wanted to be a rapper, and the place ended up being a bit of a known. Yeah, exactly. I know.
Keep going.
The place ended up being known as a place where you could find some illegal substances. I got some complaints from other tenants in the building. And what really like made it happen, well, one, the noise was a problem, and there's been a few conversations with that. And then another tenant was outside, and the way she described the situation, it was about 11 o'clock at night, and she saw like 2 guys going in the back, and one of them like literally dropped a gun in front of them while they were just casually having a cigarette on their balcony. And so they got scared, they called us, we called the police, and this and that. Anyways, it all went sideways from there, to the point where I ended up going to go see the tenant and said, look, I'm giving you 30 days to vacate the premises. I am not going to go the legal route like I should have to the TAD and blah, 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 and document and demonstrate like why. I gave him 30 days. And it was September 15th. And on that day, I called the police. I had felt threatened over there, like it was not safe. And I called the police and asked them to have a vehicle on site, just so that as a dissuasion. And when, long story short, they ended up coming, and we went at noon, and I knocked and knocked, and no one answered. So I opened with my key, and the place was filthy, and it looked like they had left in a hurry. And we started to talk with the police, and they actually told me, we arrested this guy 2 hours ago, and we've already searched the premises. And obviously I'm floored, just because like, and you didn't want to tell me this when we were outside, that we're wasting time going inside to try to get the keys back. Anyways, and so that was like my top worst situation that I've been in. And the big lesson to this, and I know you're smiling inside being like, obviously Excel, is like your tenant selection is so important. And I want to give people a chance, but just there's some stuff like you just can't.
Did you do a criminal background check?
I did, and it came out blank.
Wow.
At the time, he had nothing, and the credit was very little. But young guy and this and that, and an immigrant like me, and I wanted to give him a chance. And anyways, I learned my lesson. That's my worst, and I learned from it. We entirely had to like redo the place, repaint. We redid the bathroom was in terrible shape, so we redid it. Anyways, so that's it for me.
Well, I think that's pretty good for a Tenant Darwin Award story. Guys, if you like this content, share it, subscribe, and send us your stories too. We're curious. We love this. Like, this is like the fun part of this job. I always say like, I never know what's going to happen. I turn up to work and every week they come up with something new. So if you have some good stories, share, and maybe we'll have you on the show to tell a couple of stories.
That's a great idea. Share it, let us know. And in any case, share this episode. You've said it already. It'll be edited. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.